Good evening, everybody. Nava here, and I'm going to be your host for tonight's episode of Eastern Clubbing. So this is episode 5, and it's going to be all about Threephase, one of my favorite producers and DJs straight from Cairo. So to give you guys a little bit of background about what this show is about, basically I started doing research about Middle Eastern and North African DJs and producers because I was super fascinated with the rhythms that they were choosing and all of this up and coming shows that they were having, especially in Boiler Room. And I felt like it was kind of untapped territory, and that is what really intrigued me, especially because I really love that genre of music, being Persian myself. I felt it really close to home, and that made me absolutely want to go and dig deeper and kind of find out who they are, where are they based, what are they doing. And this is episode 5 with Threephase, who is one of my favorites and one of the main ones that I actually started listening to, and one of the ones that you can always hear a track from in my DJ sets. I am Nava, your host for tonight, and I'm a DJ and an artist, a singer, and hope you like this show. This is Threephase's live performance. So let's get into the biography of Threephase. He is a Cairo-based electronic producer that burst onto the scenes in 2020. So basically the year of COVID, where everybody was stuck inside, and what better way to feel alive again with some Middle Eastern, North African rhythms. And so he tangles pentatonic melodies, Middle Eastern rhythms, and razor-sharp beats, as you can hear. And he has carved out a unique sonic space for himself with his original shabby-inspired sound, which has dubs as percussive club music. So this is the first time that I'm actually mentioning something like promotion during the show, especially because usually in a world where the artists are trying to do as much promotion and as much visibility as possible, being into the hype scene and just getting known and becoming famous and being seen, Threephase has actually chosen a complete opposite path. He is absolutely very mysterious, and I think that's one of the most intriguing things that I've come across, because he's one of those DJs and producers that you can never really see. You can't really see his face. He's always covered with these big hoodies and sunglasses. So whenever you see a live performance, make sure to notice that. But also the fact that there is no biography regarding his actual name or where he's from or who he actually is, because he feels like that is all something not as important as just letting the music speaking for itself. And especially in this day and age where everything is about brand and marketing, Threephase has picked the path of complete anonymity, letting his productions speak for themselves. And as he believes, music is what matters the most, so that is what should be doing the talking. Okay, so let me give you guys some quotes that Threephase has actually said. So he says that I believe that who I am or any information about me is completely irrelevant to the music and should not affect the listener's perception of it. The secondary reason for anonymity is not to link this project to other projects that I've worked on. In this past and in the past, through my identity, I wanted to be a complete isolated project with no links to the past and just a fresh start. And also a very independent and freeing concept if you think about it, because doing this, he has actually freed himself from so much judgment or also comparativeness and just people maybe comparing his old project with a new one, who he is, who he was, what he's doing. This is complete freedom, and he is just doing what he feels like with this project, and he can because it's completely anonymous. Threephase's work has begun to arouse great interest, and also thanks to the remix of the song Ras El Ain by Acid Arab, the flagship piece of the French group. He did a remix on their remix album, and I think that is one of the main, maybe huge spotlights that he got, also considering it from a European point of view. So that's kind of maybe like a breakthrough moment, and which got him also started and put on the map. That's why actually I've been seeing him so much around Europe as well, touring, even in Italy, and that is absolutely amazing. Can't wait to see him in Milan soon. So I'm gonna play Ras El Ain for you guys so you can have a little listen. So Threephase has actually mentioned that he's been developing this project for a few years now, and it's been since summer 2015. And he says, and it took me a few years of experimenting with different sounds and formats to reach something I was really happy with. I definitely did not have my current sound in mind when I first started. I had a much more vague concept, but over time I started realizing more clearly what I wanted to sound like, and just kept chasing this sound that I had in mind until I reached a point where I felt like it was close enough. So I think that's very interesting, because with the freedom of anonymity and him being anonymous and not being maybe as known as his other projects, he actually had the freedom and the time to just focus on what is the sound that he wants to have and what is the thing that he's really looking for, without being rushed, without being, I don't know, stressed into having a release or a deadline or an album. So he really was able to take his time and absolutely find that sound that he was really looking for. So he mentions that it just has to feel right to me, and I don't have any fixed certain method or criteria to reach the right balance other than that my gut feeling and intuition. And I think maybe that's the truest thing you need to be to, and that is the truest aspect of your art that has to really resonate and kind of pop out when you come up with a new song or a new remix or a new track that you've been really digging deep into bringing out. And that gut feeling is the one that's always never wrong, I can say. And he also said that I have discarded so many track ideas because it sounded off to me, or it sounded too much like a fusion, and if the track feels honest and not lying and not trying too hard, I go with it. So he also gave us a little bit of a sneak peek into his writing process, which starting with a mood, and usually with the drums afterwards, and he rarely starts with a melody. In fact, if you listen to his tracks, they are rarely melodic, with even like there's almost never a singer, and that's kind of different from Zuli, because when I think about all the chops and all the samples that Zuli uses in his tracks, Threephase is an absolute opposite, and he also only focuses on the rhythmic part mainly, and then everything else just comes together. And I think after reading about his method, this is super clear to me, because he starts with the idea and then gets all the rhythms and all the drums in it, and they're really interesting because it's a mix of Eastern, North African drums and rhythms, and also maybe something that you can also listen to a club in Barcelona too, and that is the perfect mix to have together. And I think that's what makes these tracks so particular and yet so relatable for all these different communities and all these different audiences. Threephase's sound is largely built around complex percussive patterns, and it's very naturally incorporated into classic elements of the most experimental club music. That is, I think, the perfect way to describe his sound. And I think that's a fun thing about music. You can just mix so many different maybe genres and rhythms, and as long as it feels true and authentic and your gut feeling says it's okay, you can absolutely experiment with it and just put it out there and see where it finds its audience. So his first album, Threephase, is has been released on March 27th, 2020, as we mentioned before. And this album was released for the Egyptian label 10 Copies and simply titled Threephase, which is, if you look at his artist name, it's a 3 with a phase. So it's, I think, kind of like a auto-referential kind of album, especially being his first album. That is quite cool. And this first work represented a new and powerful breath of fresh air for the club music scene. And Threephase mentions that I can't point out specific elements of the Egyptian culture that inspired me directly other than the music. But it would also be unreasonable to say that I wasn't affected by the culture or location to a certain degree. Egypt, and especially Cairo, is very loud and crowded, but being engulfed in the constant hustle and bustle of the city must have had an effect on my music in some way. So I'm gonna play Phase 5 for you guys, which is one of his tracks in his album, Threephase. So, when asked about his thoughts on Cairo's club music scene and if there are any artists that he feels can bring something new and exciting, which is something we have focused on also with Zuli when we were listening to his episode, Threephase answers that Cairo's club scene is very small, unfortunately. And that's not due to the lack of musicians or talent, but rather due to the lack of venues and platforms. If you guys remember during Zuli's episode, who is another producer and DJ based in Cairo, we were talking about how he had started running this club called Vent. And during the weekdays, he would call experimental acts. And during the weekends, he had to call like the mainstream acts to actually earn the money to be able to invest into the independent music scene and into the non-mainstream music scene. And that is what also Threephase is referring to, because there's not the lack of audience or the lack of musicians, but maybe the lack of space where the two can combine. Threephase mentions that the club scene currently is solely limited to safe bookings that cater to a specific segment of clubgoers that are not necessarily willing to be a bit open to different sounds, or rather, the bookers and promoters are playing it very safe and assuming the crowd is not open or ready for this new, more adventurous sound. But thankfully, Threephase mentions that there are also other platforms such as mapping possibilities, which is not necessarily in the club scene, but closely affiliated, such as his and Jelly Zone, that are offering this platform for more alternative club sounds. And platforms and venues aside, there are actually a lot of extremely talented musicians currently in the Cairo scene, such as Zuli, $Tag, and Abadir, which are some of the ones that we've already focused on and that we are going to focus on later on in further episodes. Okay, now let's talk about Threephase's other main release, which is called Ends Meet. And it's an album released in February 24th, 2023. And with his second release, Threephase chooses to remain unidentified and continue to exist as a murky, suspicious kind of very mysterious figure. And Ends Meet came from a conversation he was having about artists trying to make ends meet and trying to make a living through their music, which apparently is a difficult thing to do all over the world. And the percussion elements are a mix of sessions he recorded with drummers and some drum machines. He was taking live recordings and live recorded audios and processing it electronically. And Shadayet is the track he worked on the most in terms of writing drum patterns. Specifically, it wasn't sampled at all. So that was the slowest track and the most Egyptian sounding track. So let's play Shadayet for you guys. So Ends Meet envisions a different kind of future with not it necessarily being utopian. It feels less tense and more celebratory in a kind of way. And this album has been produced for the English label, and it's called Discrepant. I hope I'm not butchering the pronunciation there. And it confirms Threephase's talent even more, and the album continues and evolves the musical discourse of Threephase, consolidating the style of the brilliant Egyptian producer. So, with his live shows and tours taking off, Threephase says that when I'm working in the studio, I'm always excited to be performing. And whenever I'm working on my live, I can't wait to be on stage to perform that for the crowd. So it's kind of always just craving something else and the other thing. But I think one can never be complete with the other one. And he says that I don't think anything beats that feeling of performing a new track live and getting a good reaction from the crowd. I just want to keep doing what I'm doing and write more music and play more gigs. And hopefully, I would like to play more gigs in Egypt, which is, I feel like, quite a revolutionary thing to do, especially considering the live music situations that they're facing over there. So since we talked about Shadayet being one of the slower, more Egyptian kind of songs on his album, we're gonna focus now on another song that is called Flutes, and you can listen to how they're different amongst each other and how there's a different kind of storytelling going on. So let's have a listen to Flutes. So as you guys can hear, I feel like we can absolutely listen to the difference between the two kind of vibes of the two tracks, even though they're on the same released album. So I love how Sharet has more of a traditional vibe to it, and Flutes is just quite, I don't know, quite alternative and kind of has the original Threephase sound to it, but more hopeful, as they were also mentioning. And now we're going to talk about one of his latest releases for the Colombian label Traxs, containing 3 new songs and some remixes, one with Zuli as well. And it has been released on May 26, 2023. So it's one of the most recent releases that Threephase has had. And the label also comments on this, saying that on this EP called Traxs, the mysterious Cairo producer embarks on an ambitious, high-friendly journey through 3 futuristic and incisive percussive hitters. So from this release, I'm going to be playing a drum track for you guys, which is one of my must tracks during my sets. And among the new proposals, the song Drum Track stands out, a lightning fast sonic assault that has few equals. And I absolutely agree. And let me just play it for you guys. This way you will also listen to what they're talking about. So I feel like this has been one of my favorite must-playing tracks of all time because it just brings all the vibes, and I don't know, it just makes you time travel and go to distant places and come back and just lose yourself. And it's just so familiar yet so vibey and kind of like with these aggressive percussive drums. I don't know, I feel like it's a masterpiece, absolutely. And this brings me to the end of this program and also the end of this episode that has been based on Threephase, one of my favorite DJs and producers straight from Cairo, who is absolutely dominating the scenes right now. Make sure to go watch his performance for Boiler Room. He also has an amazing one with crazy views in front of the pyramids. I feel like this is just the beginning, and I hope that we'll see him on tours and just for even more and more every day, especially because the latest release was in 2023. So that just seems that I think 2025 could be the year to get some new music from Threephase. And Threephase, together with other exponents of Arab electronic music, such as the Lebanese Lilian Chela, the Palestinian Boykut, and the Tunisian Dina Abdul Wahed, are representatives of a musical scene that has now come of age and presents itself as one of the most innovative realities of the last decade. I just hope that, as they were mentioning, both Threephase and Zuli, that the live scene can kind of progress with the times and the bookers just stop playing it safe and just give the platform to these incredible musicians and producers and DJs to just, I don't know, let the creativity flow and offer the audience what they haven't been offered lately. And that could be something that opens a whole new door and a whole new prospect for upcoming musicians and DJs who are flourishing from that area as well. I feel like also with DJ Pleed's Somak record label, where he gives a platform and a spotlight to DJs and producers who haven't maybe been given that platform yet and maybe are not as known. And also with Mushkila's Bokhar and Zuli just giving the vent platform and venue to all these up and coming artists, things are moving around and changing and progressing for the better. So that makes me very hopeful, and I can't wait to see them live soon. So the live performance that we've been listening to during this whole show is Way Away to Saqqara, and make sure to check it out on YouTube because it's one of the most insane locations that I've seen for a DJ set to take place, and it's one of my favorite ones. And this was episode 5. I hope to see you guys next time. This is Nava for Eastern Clubbing for LINEA Radio.